everyone, it's Alana. If you guys watched the first video that I made, then you know that the intent of these videos is to help the next generation of Pacific Islander youth increase their confidence, as well as have them feel more comfortable addressing social issues. Everybody faces their own set of social issues, and oftentimes they're very similar. So this video, I wanted to get the perspectives of other Pacific Islander community leaders. I understand that if I'm just preaching and talking about my perspective on these social issues, then it becomes more centered around me. But really, these are issues that I want people to understand affect absolutely everybody. Every single person in this community is going through something. And whether they like to share that or not, you know, it's the truth. So I really wanted to reach out to 5 leaders that I think are very prominent in this community, 2 of which are presidents of local organizations, and the other 3 who are prominent leaders through pageantry and organizations that they volunteer their time with. So during these interviews, I discussed things such as depression, physical health, mental health, and substance use. But I also made sure to ask them, what are the issues that they think are important, and what does it mean to them to be Pacific Islander, and how do these issues affect Pacific Islanders specifically? So even though it's a long video, I know, please just hang in there and take in everything that everybody has to say. I think it's a good start to what these videos will develop into, and it'll also help clarify where I want to go with the direction of these videos and the topics that we will be talking about. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. So what does being Pacific Islander mean to you?
So being Pacific Islander, to me, it's about preserving our culture, perpetuating it, sharing it, celebrating it, and just making sure that we inform our non-Pacific Islander community that there's more to it than just Hawaii.
Usually the textbook answer, so it'd be like to be of origin or descent of the native people from the islands of the Pacific. And depending on who you ask, that includes Filipino. So that's why I'm here, because I'm Filipino.
Pacific Islander to me means that I come from a long line of my kupuna, or my ancestors, who were very efficient, very wise, very strong people who knew how to take care of themselves and did so. We had values and morals, and it means a lot to me. I am proud of who I am.
Pacific Islander is kind of like a sense of pride for me, and it's just defining who I am as a person and defines my character.
Pacific Islander, for me, means being filled with pride, love, life, and culture, which is pretty much all the Pacific Islands background is.
What ethnicity are you?
I am from Samoan descent.
I'm full Filipino.
I'm Chamorro and Filipino.
What are you?
I am of Chamorro descent, born and raised in Guam.
I'm Hawaiian, Japanese, Chinese.
Please describe a brief history about you and your family and how you came to the mainland.
So my parents were born, my dad was born in Guam, my mom born in the Philippines, and because of my grandparents who were in the Navy, they were able to be stationed out here in the US, and that's how I came into the picture.
Short, at the age of 10, my parents separated, and she brought us up to the continent, the mainland, I call it continent, saying that we were going to go visit my grandma who lived here in Chula Vista. And 2 weeks later, we were in school. So it was always supposed to be a move for her, and it was more of a vacation for us. At first, I was excited to be here, and you know, new place, new school, new people. And then all of a sudden I realized I wasn't going to be able to go home, and that hit me hard. But I made the best of it, and obviously I'm still here. So
Grandparents joined the Navy when they were in the Philippines, and at the time that meant they could get U.S. citizenship. So they served the Navy, and they brought their family over and their wives over, and that's how I ended up here. Both my parents are born here in the U.S., so I'm born in the U.S.
In high school, I joined the military, which brought me away from the island. And I don't know if it's unfortunate, but you join the military or the Navy to see the world, but I ended up going back to Guam. So my first tours of duty in the military was Guam, Hawaii, and finally they told me you need to go to a bigger rock. So they brought me to San Diego, which I wasn't a rock. It was in Coronado.
Gotcha. So you're still on a little
Yes.
rock.
Little rock, but still part of a big rock. But then after that, I decided to retire here and not back in the islands because I wanted better education for my daughter, as well as career opportunities for both my wife and I.
Do you feel that there is positive representation of your ethnicity in the community?
There's probably little to no representation of Filipinos in the community, so I would say no, just because there hasn't been much. There's just stereotypes about us. So.
I do. Besides myself, I know that there are a lot of positive leaders out there who are doing their best to be good mentors, good people, good leaders. And I'm excited just to see more grow.
Yes, I do. We have our own clubhouse, which we practice our culture with and share with San Diego.
What is your role in the community?
So, before becoming Mr. Heva, I was a community advisor for the Pacific Islander Student Association at San Diego State University. I'm also a member for the Pacific Islander Festival Association, aka PIFA, as well as a current member. So, my role in the community is to serve, give back, mostly to the youth, the younger generation, because I believe that they're the ones who are going to take our place and leave a legacy.
I am the president of the Pacific Islander Festival Association for this year.
I was Miss Pacific Islander of San Diego from 2017 to 2018, and as that, I am a role model for other Pacific Islander youth in the community. And last year I also set up, along with my court, I set up a project. It was the Next Generation Summit, which focused on culture, leadership, and education.
I am the president of the Huyo Hawaii of San Diego and also a director in the Hawaiian Civic Club, Ahahui Kavila Hawaii o San Diego. Besides that, I look at myself as a leader, bringing to the forefront the things that Hawaiians struggle with: health, identity, finances, education. Bringing all of those together.
And I'm a full-time student, which is why I'm also eligible for Miss Huio Hawaii this year.
How do you keep our culture alive today?
I keep our culture alive through being participatory in cultural events like the Pacific Islander Festival and staying connected with my family and participating in dance with my Halau Pride of Polynesia.
I have been dancing hula, Tahitian, boy waltz, all that stuff since I was 5. So still dancing today.
What is your favorite aspect of being Pacific Islander?
Respect and family values.
The sense of community, like if you meet somebody that's Pacific Islander, or at least, or for me, Filipino, then it's just like, oh, there's that automatic connection. Kind of like if you're in a sorority or fraternity.
Of course, my favorite aspect is the food. But on a serious note, my favorite aspect is that we are a very humble and passionate community, and it's very clear in what we do, whether it's through attending church, when we give sermons, or when we are doing athletics. We're very passionate no matter what we're doing. We're very passionate and we're very humble in any and everything that we do.
The sense of community backing that I have and the community support I have in any educational endeavor or work endeavor that I pursue.
I'm really proud to be a Pacific Islander because I know that my people have gone through a lot of struggle, but we're still here. We're still here. We'll always be here, and we rise above the things that have, kept us down, has changed Hawaii, has changed my people.
Is there a certain tradition or aspect of our culture that you feel is disappearing or being underrepresented?
I feel that there are some, but I think the biggest one is definitely language.
Yes, I strongly feel that in all of our communities, it's the language. We are not slowly, but we are vastly losing it.
For us is language. As people are living on the mainland and not in our respective countries or islands, people aren't speaking their native tongues as much anymore, especially for my generation.
If I had to say something, it would probably be the language.
Are there any stereotypes or stigmas that go with being Pacific Islander?
Yeah, I think so. Stereotypes, and so sometimes the guys get the rough end of that. Being a local guy, you're thought of as just being lazy and alcoholic and drugs and doing this and doing that. That's not doing things that aren't so good for you, doing things that aren't good for your ohana, for your family, not taking care of your kuleana, not taking care of your business. I think that's one stereotype that kind of bugs me because not everybody's like that, obviously.
The biggest one is that we're all from the beautiful island of Hawaii. So I get a lot from family, friends, or when I'm at work, I get a lot from my students like, are you Hawaiian, or are you born in Hawaii? Is your family from Hawaii? Unfortunately, no, we're not. I'm not. I believe that a lot of people tend to forget our other Polynesian, Melanesian, and Micronesian brothers and sisters, and they only know about Hawaii, because I do feel that it's the central hub of where all of our Pacific Islander cultures come together, since it's right there. It's U.S. territory. It's kind of the midpoint where everyone's at.
Probably be like having a big stature. Just like, it's not necessarily fat, but it's just bulky, tall. For Filipinos, I know that it's like short and dark.
Do you feel that Pacific Islanders are discriminated against?
To a point. And with my experience, the areas that I see it a lot was with the military. I don't think we are being treated equally as a minority group, like some other communities, that we should be given the same privileges as they do, which makes it easier for them for promotion. As for us, we compete against the others that are not classified as minority. And minority should be defined as population and availability of privileges in like education and career opportunities and so forth.
I think like all people of color, yes, I do believe that Pacific Islanders are discriminated, whether it's in the workplace or like any other person of color, Pacific Islanders are discriminated against. And not just against non-Pacific Islanders, I do believe that there's discrimination within even our own Pacific Islander community, such as people know a lot about Polynesia and Polynesians, but they tend to forget about Melanesia and Micronesia.
Is there something that others do that you find offensive to the Pacific Islander culture?
Mostly like the luau's, the grass skirts, the fake lays, like when they don't fully understand the meaning behind everything, or they don't dance correctly, they almost kind of mock how we dance.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to see improve in the Pacific Islander community?
I would love to see improvements all across the board, I'll be honest. Education. We are smart. We have so much mana in ourselves. So to be smart, to use our smarts, to put the knowledge that we have to work for our own people, for other people. Because I think working together collectively is the key to making things better. And that's all across the board, whether we're Pacific.
Yes. I feel that there are times where there's lack of respect among each other's community. Instead of pulling together as Pacific Islanders, they tend to segregate themselves as who they are and where they're from, and not pulling together and to make it as one unity. So.
School, I would like to see more government positions opening up and leadership positions for Pacific Islander students and youth. So I would just like more representation in government, and to accomplish that we just need to really sort out why we haven't had those positions in the past.
What do you think is the biggest problem that we face today as a whole?
Lack of recognition. Pretty much, I think, in general, what we as Pacific Islanders have contributed to both the nation and the country is not being recognized the way it should. We ourselves have really contributed a lot because we're proud to call ourselves Americans as well. So.
Like I said, ignorance to problems like mental illness, like needing to learn more about it before they judge or say anything about it.
The biggest issue, I believe, that we all have as a community is that finding a way to communicate with the younger ones about issues that we growing up did not really have someone talking to about. For example, like when it comes to mental health or sexual orientation, academics, things like that, topics like that growing up, our parents didn't really have the time to talk to us about.
So for Pacific Islanders, I would say taking care of our health, physically, mentally. Those two things need to be sound. So, not taking care of the food or taking care of our bodies and our kino and the things that we put into our body. We have the highest rate of obesity, a high rate of diabetes, and we never had any of those things due to the fact that we didn't eat the things that we do now. Granted, being that we're here in this Western culture, it's a get quick attitude, and so you get food quick. You don't have time because you're always rushed to do this and that, so you're not taking care mentally, physically, and I can attest to that. I fight with my weight all the time, and try to stay as healthy as I can. So I think that would be the biggest problem, is finding a way to have food sovereignty, growing our own gardens, and eating better food for us. And it can be done here. We don't have to be in the Aina, we don't have to be in the island, but I think just these little changes could make a huge difference.
Where do you think the root of this problem stems from?
Fear of the unknown. Like, the mind is difficult to analyze, so because they don't know much about it, they're scared of it, or they don't want to look further into it.
I think the genesis of this issue is not informing ourselves about them in the first place. Because if we don't inform ourselves, we don't know how to take care of a problem. That's like wanting to cook your favorite meal, but you don't have the recipe to do it.
Right. How many Pacific Islanders do you know that struggle with obesity?
Unfortunately, a lot.
A lot.
I'm one of them.
What do you think is the most effective way to help resolve these high rates?
I would think education on nutrition, as well as providing the resource needed to the Islanders, bring it to them. A lot of times they're ashamed to go out there and seek it because of what they are, and not look at what it can do for them. So we need to go out there and find out who they are and bring it to them.
Personally, don't know too many because most of the Pacific Islanders that I see are from Ramana Fitness. So either they're already healthy or they've made so much progress before I've actually met them and gotten to know them. Change in lifestyle, so eating healthier, exercising more, but mostly the diet, because people say it's 20% working out and then 80% diet. So.
Do you know any Pacific Islanders that struggle with substance abuse?
Yes, yeah. I have family members. I have friends that struggle with substance abuse. And it's sad to see them not get ahead, not get in front of their problems, not take care of their kuleana or their business because they're struggling with this addiction to substance abuse, whatever it may be.
Personally, I don't, though I do know that everyone has a substance abuse, and I think when it comes to Pacific Islanders, I feel that alcohol is a big one, for sure.
What is the most common form of substance that you think Pacific Islanders abuse the most?
I would definitely say, oh gosh, that's alcohol and cigarettes are the number one because it's so easy to get, obviously.
I think that what they abuse or use a lot of is marijuana because that's what's usually grown out in the islands. Although it's grown for medicinal purposes, sometimes it's being utilized in the wrong way.
You know any Pacific Islanders that struggle with their mental health?
Yes.
Well, I personally struggle. I have had my moments where I've had mental breakdowns, depression, and things especially relating to sexual orientation, because I know that's not something that typically Pacific Islander men have are comfortable talking about with others, because it's not really rooted within them, even though there are beliefs in a third gender in all Pacific Islander communities: Samoa, Whakawhine, Tonga, Whakaleti, Hawaiian, the Mahu. Me personally, that's something I struggle with a little bit sometimes. Well, especially a lot growing up. But I know that there are other factors like school, work, making sure my family's happy. The idea of meeting expectations and making people proud could sometimes be mentally draining and exhausting.
Do you think depression is the most common struggle with mental health?
I would say it's one of them. Schizophrenia would be another. Bipolar issues, you know, that's kind of a chemical thing, chemical imbalance, I believe. So, yes, all of the above.
It is, but I think today it's almost equal to or with PTSD, and they're finding that out more and more through their researches.
Why do you think so many islanders struggle with depression?
Because of the society we live in. They're a minority, so they have to work harder to be the ideal person that society tells us we need to be.
And growing up, our parents expect a lot from us. Good job, taking care of them when they get older, making sure that we're able to take care of ourselves as well.
Some of my research for my paper, I discovered that the case study that they interviewed about 100 Pacific Islanders, and the majority of them did struggle with depression. However, 98% of the people that reported that they did refused to go and find help from resources. So why do you think statistically we're proven to not take advantage of programs and resources to help ourselves?
I think statistically, the programs and the people that are trying to help, they don't really understand the underlying issue. I don't see a lot of programs here that help the Pacific Islanders that doesn't have some Western influence. Back home in Hawaii, there are a lot of programs that help people with their depression, with their substance abuse, and it's going into the culture, you know, doing that from a culture sense, their own culture, not from a Western sense. Medicines, chemicals, going back into your body, I don't think that helps. I don't think that's the only answer to getting better. I think there's a lot of practices that have not been used because we're here on the continent, that aren't readily available to our people, to the Pacific Islanders, that they would have been able to get if they were back in their islands, or say if, you know, we had the resources here on the continent. Not to say that it can't happen, I just don't think that there are enough of those programs here on the continent.
Could go two ways. There's the fact that they could just not believe in themselves and think that they're not good enough for it, or they have too much pride and they don't want to ask for help and are not willing to accept it from other people.
Do you think that the effects of American colonialism are still present today?
Of course, it involves trauma that affects almost all generations. Like, I know it's not exactly colonization, but I do know that because my grandparents didn't want my parents to be confused, they didn't teach them Tagalog, and because of that, I didn't get the opportunity to learn Tagalog at all. So it's definitely affecting all generations afterwards.
Definitely, of course.
Do you think that these effects include a loss of cultural identity?
Yes, very much.
Definitely. You know, there are many children here that will never, hopefully, will get the chance to know where their kupuna are from, where their ancestors are from. But that's something that I think about all the time is there's so many more Kanaka Maoli in general. I mean, in speaking of, there's so many Kanaka Maoli that are not in their home. Why? Because they've been pushed out, and because work brought them here to the continent. The U.S. military brought them here to the continent. So they're not able to be and know who they are. They're not able to learn exactly all their cultural practices, all their cultural identity. A lot of changes have happened for that to happen, for us to not know our cultural identity.
Definitely, like the example I said before, language is a huge part of cultural identity, and the fact that I wasn't able to learn about it, I don't want to necessarily say robbed of the experience, but that's basically what I was.
Do you have any ideas or suggestions of how to fix these problems that we are still faced with?
As I said earlier, I think one of the best things is if we can go out there and not wait for them to come to us because of the pride that they have. And let's give them that information they do need, knowing, having them understand that we care, or the people do care, and they want to help them so that they can live a better life.
These issues, whether it's mental health, depression, substance abuse, or anything pertaining to Pacific Islander issues, definitely do your research. It doesn't take that long to go on the internet, type up, go to Google. But it is very helpful to kind of inform yourselves, because you'll never know. You might have someone that, whether they be a family or friend or a student, nephew, niece, whatever, who's going through something. You're not going to be sure how to deal with it. So my honest advice is to stay informed, seek resources that'll help you be informed, as well as inform others, because if you're informed and you inform other people, more people will know, and the more the issues will be able to be solved.
And healing the loss of cultural identity is talking about trauma, talking about the reasons why your grandparents didn't teach you the language. Speaking for Kanaka Maoli, there's a big reason why. There were a lot of, my kapuna, for instance, she did not teach any of her 12 kids Olelo Hawaii. And there was a big reason, because it was looked down upon, you could be in trouble, the language was banned.
To accomplish the goal of having more Pacific Islanders in leadership, we need to have more programs and more outreach to Pacific Islander youth to show them that they are capable of higher education and capable of earning those leadership positions. I think for this too, we need to emphasize how other cultural community organizations are empowering Pacific Islander communities. EPIC, what they're doing is disaggregating government data and separating Pacific Islanders from other ethnic groups such as Asian Americans, which they've been traditionally grouped together, so we can pinpoint why there are disparities in physical health, mental health, and education. So after we disaggregate that data, we're more likely to pinpoint what factors are affecting the success of Pacific Islander students.
Learn as much as you can and be open to knowing and understanding more.
What would you like to see the next generation of Pacific Islander youth learn more about?
I would like the next generation of Pacific Islander youth to not only pursue higher education and learn more about themselves, but also to connect back to their roots and have a chance to be a part of a community organization like PIFA or the Hui o Hawaii and connect back to their cultural roots and learn more about where they come from.
Education, actively participate in the promotion and perpetuation of the traditional cultures, ancient history data, languages, attitudes, and values of our indigenous people of the Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. Very important.
If they haven't already, their culture, because it's very important. It's definitely what has gotten me to where I am now, as well as a lot of my friends and family. Their culture gave them it's their roots that supported them, their foundation. So definitely that is something that I want to let them know to keep in touch with, as well as staying in school. Then again, I know that school isn't for everyone, but still that doesn't mean that you should try your best.
Themselves, first and foremost, themselves. Learn about where you come from. Learn about where your roots are.
What will be the most important part for the success that we seek for the future?
Definitely being open-minded to everything.
Most important part is taking the first step and doing it. If we want to be successful, we gotta take the first step on the path that will help us get there.
Do you think that we will be able to significantly lower these statistics?
Yes, very, very much so. Very possible if we dedicate ourselves now before it is too late.
Yeah, of course, because
Because if you don't do anything, if you don't take the initiative to do something, it'll never get done. So I believe that finding your initiative, the motivation to, and the inspiration to take that first step forward to helping your community, helping yourself too in the process, is what will solve all these issues and problems that we're facing.
I think so, definitely. I mean, like, change, you have to want change. And if a significant amount of people decided, well, I don't want to be diabetic, or I don't want to be obese, and they started doing these programs, or I don't want these mental health issues, I don't want to live in the trauma that my family has carried. It takes you first, and then when people see you and you're being a good example, then they go, well, maybe that'll work for me, and it goes on from there. So I think statistically we can change those to positive numbers and not such high numbers. At least that's my hope.
Alright guys, that concludes the interviews. As you can see, a lot of them had very similar answers, if not the same answers. By being able to see where all these similarities lie, I think we're able to definitely identify which are the main issues that we need to discuss. By talking about these main topics, it's the first step that we're taking in order to addressing them to try to make a better future. These main points are going to be the ones that I will make videos on, and after I get through all of these main points, then I will definitely go into more detail about some of these not so common social issues, which I think are just as important. So I hope you guys stay tuned. I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't, it's okay to leave a comment, just please be nice. By no means am I this amazing video editor, because I'm very new at it, and having this be one of my first videos that I created where it was editing interview after interview after interview and trying to cut it, I know it's a little rough, but I'm working on it, and it was really good practice. So if you have any tips or advice, please also leave it in the comments. Be nice. Please be nice. I'm just trying to spread peace, love, and happiness, and I hope that it gets your way. Thank you guys. Mahalo.